I am Jacob, and this is FHE. Hey everyone, welcome back to FHE. As many of you might know, last Monday was Pioneer Day. If you don't know what that is, it's basically the celebration of the first time Mormon pioneers entered into the Utah Valley. These pioneers suffered many trials, lots of persecution from mobs, and had to travel through blizzards. As a member of the church, I have many pioneer ancestors, so I'm going to share a few stories from one of them. His name was Andrew Vickers Millward and was born on November 28th in 1839 in Rotherham, England. He worked in a coal mine as a child with his brother because his father died as a kid and he needed to provide for his family. When Andrew was about 5 years old, on December 6, 1844, a girl named Louisa Easton was born in Derby, England. This girl would one day be Andrew's wife. When they were both older, Louisa and her family were sitting in a Mormon church meeting, and Louisa was singing her hymns. Andrew was walking by with William Booth, the future founder of the Salvation Army, and heard some beautiful singing. He followed the sound and eventually ended up in a Mormon church meeting. Before he knew it, he was converted to the Mormon religion because of the prettiest little girl in the world. Andrew kept going just to see and hear Louisa. On November 11th, 1856, Andrew was baptized. As they were planning on getting married, Louisa, or Lucy, told Andrew not to tell his family about their marriage. They were finally married on April 15th, 1862, and as members of the church, them as well as some of their friends decided to take the journey to Utah. They landed in New York on June 1st, 1862. The time of their travels was during the Civil War. In Missouri, one of the half-slave, half-free states, Mormons were regarded as worse than secessionists. Secessionists, if you don't know, were people or states who left the Union. This group of Mormons decided to leave Missouri as soon as they could. One day, when they were traveling in the vicinity of Florence, Nebraska, they had a very large faith-building experience. One of their oxen fell into a river, so James Ratcliffe jumped in after it. James could not swim, so he began to drown. Andrew, who also couldn't swim, jumped in to save James. He was able to stand on the bottom of the river, and he found his half-drowned friend and pulled him to shore. They gained a lot of faith from this and decided that this was because of God that they were still alive. Once they arrived in Grantsville, Utah, they began to settle and have their children. Many years later, many years later, after Lucy had died, their youngest son, Lionel, was playing on a door that was laying across a river. He accidentally broke the door, and a nail caught him through the soft part under his chin and came out just under his teeth. Andrew was out in his field hoeing some plants when he had a prompting to put down the hoe and go to the river. He thought this was a really foolish thought because you never put down the hoe before you're done with the row. The prompting continued, so he finally listened and found his son being hung by a doornail. Andrew called up the doctor to sew him up. Since there were no anesthetics in these days, Andrew slapped Lionel's ear and swore at him, and there was no more crying that night. It was really cool to get to read some of these stories about my great-great-great-grandpa. Even if you don't have any pioneer ancestors, I invite you to learn something about your ancestors. Ask your parents, your grandparents, your great-grandparents about some of the stories of their lives, and write them down, record them, just so you can share them with your kids when you're older. I just want to end this video by thanking all those pioneers and my ancestors for going through so much for this church. Thank you all for watching, and I hope you enjoyed. Come back in 2 weeks for another great episode of FHE. Bye! Thanks for watching, everyone. Make sure to check out some of Mormon Kids' other videos. If you have any questions about Mormons or what was discussed here, add it in the comments down below or on any of Mormon Kids' social media accounts, which you can find links to in the description below.